Despite being in an active rollout for the highly anticipated sequel to their very successful Vultures 1, neither Kanye nor Ty Dolla $ign seem to remember the fact that Vultures 2 is already very, very late. Because today is the 5th of April, we are officially at the final promised date from Kanye's original Vultures 3 volume schedule, and we probably should have been worried when Vultures 1 was not even on time, with it releasing one day after its original February 9th date. Then of course we blitzed past March 8th, only getting to hear Vultures 2 one day after that on the 9th, which is when we realized the album was nowhere near close to done. And today we finally moved past the original planned Vultures 3 release date, which I would not even expect to drop this year, considering the pace Kanye and Ty are going at. Not to mention, we just had Ty yesterday do an entire 45-minute sit-down interview with YG, and he did not once mention Vultures 2 in any capacity, almost as if he forgot that it even exists. This podcast was actually pretty entertaining, as Ty is a super chill dude, and we did get a bit of insight into what went on behind the scenes the past couple of months. In response to being asked what he learned from working with Kanye, Ty noted that he realized you have to take your time, and other times you have to run with a vibe if it's right, using their experience developing the Vultures single as evidence.
Kanye showed me this, and now turn me up.
To take my time with this shit and not just be so, or we just did it right now. We could just drop that shit in Vultures, the current single that we had out. We recorded that shit 4 days from when we released it in Saudi. Just caught a vibe. Bump came through with a song he had already been working on. We ended up recording all the verses, changing the beat a million times, still in 4 days, and then dropping that motherfucker. So
Ty specifically notes that the Vultures single had tons of different beats made for it in just the 4 days they spent developing the song, and we can hear one of these alternate beats in the unreleased documentary made that covered the team's time spent in Saudi Arabia last year. After this, YG spoke a bit about his experience working on the album, saying he was present at the Vultures Dubai sessions and telling a story about walking into the Vulture City hotel room in Vegas prior to the event and seeing anime porn.
I was in the studio shooting in Vegas. I walk in the studio, which was the hotel room, and shit is vibed out and all that. I'm in there vibing for a minute, and then I just started looking and shit. I'm looking at the TV, and I'm like, the fuck is that? And it's animated porn on the TV. Is that how y'all record this shit?
Nah, that was just like one day. One of his artists that he was working with was just coming through showing him visuals.
We already kind of assumed this, but it essentially confirms that the song Do It was made, or at least mostly finished, in that hotel room prior to Kanye previewing an early version of it in the warehouse with the dirt mound.
Cozy in my back, call me 06 Gucci. What's happening? Tryna make a movie. Do it. She got the little fast, she finna lose it. Fuck her from the back, going stupid.
After this, Ty speaks a bit about the album's entire process, stating it was release-ready on multiple occasions and that the team made heavy use of AI stem separation techniques.
And we already got the songs done. We already had the album done like 10 times. We used a lot of, AI on making my newest album with Ye. As far as like with drums or with different sounds, you could separate things now.
It's no surprise that they made use of AI stem separation, as it's likely the only way to get isolated multi-stem tracks for super old songs that might not have their original files available if Kanye wanted to sample them. In fact, AI in general was hugely important to the Vultures 1 rollout, with Kanye specifically utilizing it to make the videos for Carnival and the Vultures single version produced by Havoc. Unfortunately, that's basically everything noteworthy that was talked about in this podcast episode, and while Ty wasn't specifically asked about it, there were multiple opportunities he could have touched on Vultures 2, but obviously chose not to, which just makes me so much more curious about what's going on right now behind closed doors. In other news, some products have recently been removed from Yeezy.com. Yesterday, we saw the pods taken down, and the Yeezy support team stated they would be put back up after they catch up on fulfilling orders, which would explain why the shipping on these products has been absolutely atrocious. We also saw the Vultures vinyl and CD products removed, and you can now only purchase the digital version of the album. The pods being removed makes sense, but it is odd to see the physical Vultures 1 album listings taken down, which could very well indicate that Kanye is gearing up for something. We also yesterday saw JPEG Mafia in the studio with artist Lil Tecca, with him even saying "with the Vultures" in his tweet. I would assume this is kind of Peggy's way of saying Tecca is now involved with the recording of Vultures 2, and with how new of an artist he is, I would not be surprised if this was organized somehow by Kanye. Regardless, we can now fully expect a Tecca feature on a Vultures 2 song, with my personal choice being Poppin' featuring Project Pat, because the beat is just plain fire. And finally, I have some actual positive news to report, which is that Kanye has reactivated his Instagram account after deactivating it for only a few days. I think he would only do this if he intended to post things, so honestly, as soon as later today, we could have some major announcements. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, feel free to leave a like and subscribe to my channel for more videos like this, and let me know down in the comments if you think Lil Tecca will get a feature placement on Vultures 2.